Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the park. We have a fun show for you today, folks. Welcome to Forum 360, your PBS Western Reserve channel. I'm Stephanie York, your host today, and thank you for joining us for a global outlook with a local view. The Akron Arrows. Just kidding. I mean, the Akron Rubber Ducks are the Cleveland Indians AA affiliate team and located right here in Summit County in the heart of downtown Akron. Their 2020 season is packed with affordable family fun, including 70 home games, 25 firework nights, and 11 Sunday family fun days. And the food. Oh, are we going to talk about the food? And we will get into some touchier topics like the Ohio sports gambling. How about the professional baseball agreement and extra inning rules and other rules? And we'll definitely talk about the date for the end of the construction on Main Street. Home opener is about a month away, so we're here with Rubber Ducks General Manager Jim Pfander, talking everything AA baseball. Thank you, Jim, for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I would like to start off with you telling us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up as the general manager for the Rubber Ducks.
Very carefully. So I'm originally from Akron, Ohio. This is my hometown. And in my career in baseball started in 2000. I was an intern with the Cleveland Indians in their broadcasting and special events department. And I really fell in love with what makes the ballpark come alive. I mean, I was Tom Hamilton's intern. I used to get, you know, the post-game sound. I'd run down, get the manager's press conference, run up to Hamilton. You could put it on the air. But it was the second part of my job where the ballpark came to life. And it was during the consecutive sellout streak in Cleveland where they had 455 consecutive sellouts. My last game was game 454. So it was that last full season of all those games being sold out. And what I just fell in love with was when the ballpark came alive, when folks got there and just that energy that happens. And so that's really what set me off on my career. I've been in minor league baseball now. This is my 21st season. I've been in places like Spokane, Washington, Brockton, Massachusetts, Charleston, South Carolina, Port Charlotte, Florida. But when Ken Babby bought the team and I had a chance to come home to Akron, I jumped at the opportunity.
That is awesome, and we are glad you did. Can you tell us what your duties include in, like, the day in the life of Jim Pfander?
Oh my goodness! Well, no day is ever the same. So that I'll tell you that. That's the best part. But you know, if you think of a baseball field and you think of the lines on the baseball field, the first to third base line, everything that happens on the outside of the white lines is what I'm ultimately responsible for. So whether it's, you know, the food when you come to the ballpark, or whether it's the advertising or selling tickets or the impact that we make in the community here in Akron, that's really all that falls under my responsibility. What I don't get to say is who plays first base, who's the cleanup hitter, you know, who's going to pitch tonight, and that's really all handled by the Cleveland Indians and their professional baseball development staff.
Interesting. So the pressure's a little off when it comes to...
It is, but I still like it. I mean, it's fun. That's the best part about baseball, right? But we get to be big fans. So, you know, having a chance to see guys like Francisco Lindor come through the system, guys like Jose Ramirez, who wasn't on anybody's radar when he came in, but one night he steals home during a game, you're like, whoa, what was that? That guy's going to be really good. So it's fun to watch these guys grow up right before your eyes, and we do. We get to be front row seats to be big fans in a game that we absolutely love.
That's awesome. So before we talk all the fun stuff, like the home games and food and Sunday fun days, we're going to talk some things that are going on in minor league baseball. Sure. But I'll leave plenty of time for the fun stuff, I promise. So minor league baseball President Pat O'Connor has often spoken about how he'd like to see the team's front office be more diverse. How well do you believe your team has done that?
I think we're making strides. I think we're not anywhere close to where we need to be. You know, when you think about diversity and you think about the cities that we represent, your front office should look like the city that you're in. And I think we're making strides, but I think the best example is our club down in Jacksonville, Florida. We own two teams, Akron, of course, and then in Jacksonville. And in Jacksonville, our general manager, his name's Harold Craw. He's the only African-American general manager in minor league baseball. We have a vice president of marketing and sales, Lynn McNabb, industry veteran. She's been in the business for 30 years, and to have a female in a vice president role for us is fantastic. In Akron, I think we're making strides. I think we've done a good job, but I think really more if you think about the promotions and you think about the way we engage with our fans. That's what's changing, and I think we're trying to think more outside of the box. This year we're going to have a Negro League Appreciation Night, so we're really trying to tap into all of our African American fan base. We're also doing minor league baseball launched. It's called Copa de la Diversión.
I read about
that.
Yes,
we are going to have our own identity this year. It's not actually part of the program, but we're going to unveil a new identity for a game this year and maybe wear it multiple games, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I think the more that we can engage with the community, the more that we can make sure that our front office is reflective of the community, that's the #1 goal. We're not there yet, but we're going to get there.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. In 2018, the league introduced some new rules. Can you explain the extra inning rules for us not so familiar with it?
Well, as a baseball purist, it's weird because what they do in the 10th inning is you start with a runner at second base. It's almost like softball, right?
I was about to say, this is like my kid's travel ball.
But when you think about it, minor league baseball is all about developing the players for the next level. And so, yes, there's a lot of rules that have gone in to shorten the game, but this one is very important because it goes in to make sure the players are being developed and they're not overextending themselves. I mean, at the minor league level, watching an outfielder come in to pitch because you've run through the entire bullpen in a 17, 18 inning game. Right. I mean, and that outfielder is not going to have a chance to prove himself as the next, Nolan Ryan by coming in from the outfield.
And worse, he could hurt himself.
He could. And that it's about development. It's about making sure these guys are protected. So for us, what's important is that the game, is going to get concluded as quickly as it can. We're not having ties. This isn't soccer. We're not going to end in a tie.
Hey, don't knock soccer.
I'm not. I played for many years. But the goal for us is to make sure that the development is there and that the games are shortened. Now, if you think about it from the financial side for the Rubber Ducks, because we don't have anything to do with the play on the field, it's a financial strain. I mean, we stopped selling beer during the 7th inning.
Sure.
A lot of people stopped eating. A lot of the concession stands are closed. So really, anything that goes longer than 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 innings, boy, you're in a situation where it's a direct drain on the labor side.
Sure.
So for us, it's not a bad thing. As a baseball fan, I'm not a big fan, but for our business, it's the right move.
Are there other rules you'd like to see changed? Are there that you've been thinking about or that they're thinking about?
You know what? We talk about different rules all the time. I think there's a lot of different things that are at play. In fact, somebody said, well, why start the extra innings with a runner on second base? Why don't you just start with the bases loaded? Because people love to see scoring. And so maybe there's an opportunity that, you lace a double in the gap and the base is clear. That might be a little bit more exciting than a man at second, because what happens? You bunt the guy over to third, then you have a sacrifice fly, or you walk the next batter, you hit to a double play, and then there's no score. So this way, I think if you loaded the bases, that might be more exciting. But we talk about a lot of different rules. We actually had a rule change this past year in the Eastern League. We were the only league that played an entire season, and then that's how you got the first and second place team gets into the playoffs. Well, in minor league baseball, by the halfway point of the year, your team changes. A lot of the guys get moved up. You have the June draft, so a lot of those guys are coming into the system, and there's a lot of movement. So the team at the beginning of the year never looks like the team that you finished the year with. So we moved to halves. So somewhere in the middle of June, probably June 22nd, June 23rd, end of the first half, and then whatever your record is at that point, you can get into the playoffs, and you can get that first playoff seed, and you get home field advantage in the first round. So it was new last year. Unfortunately, the Rubber Ducks were only a game or two out in the first half, and we just missed. But it was good because the teams changed so much. And then when all the player movement happened in the second half of the year, and we had a whole different team, it helped. But the good news from an operator standpoint is now I have 2.5 months to sell playoff tickets instead of maybe 2.5 days if I'm lucky at the end of the season.
So you like that rule?
I do like that rule. It's a good one. Again, from an operating standpoint, it's great. From the fan purist standpoint, maybe it's not so
great. A little
great.
wonky.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So Major League Baseball and Minor League Baseball will operate under a new professional baseball agreement after the 2020 season. What is the status of that agreement now?
Yeah, it's a good question. So right now, everything is kind of up for negotiation. And so both sides are kind of have a different idea and different plan of what they want to see accomplished. Major League Baseball's point is that they want to see an upgrade of the facilities. They want to see a reduction in travel time. And let's face it, we play in the Eastern League, but we're as far west in the Eastern League as possible here in Akron. True. So we play teams in Portland, Maine, a 17-hour bus ride away. We play teams in Richmond, Virginia. And, so they would love to see a way to kind of condense, maybe, eliminate a trip or two and try to find a way so it's good for the players. Because a player rides on a bus for 17 hours. Right. Then, they may have the day off the next day, but then they're getting right back into playing baseball, that's probably not good for your body when you're recovering from playing baseball.
Too.
Luckily, everybody's on the East Coast time, which is good. Which is good.
Okay.
But can you imagine how difficult that would be if you're in different time zones and your body clock just isn't ready for it? So I think all the reasons are good, and what they're asking for is good. And I think the minor league teams are saying, hey, we want to make sure that we're still able to provide a great product for our communities. We can still have these teams that are playing in these communities, and that's really important to make sure that we have kind of both. So it's a tough negotiation. Here we are, before the baseball season's even started. I expect this thing to go all the way down to the wire. The professional baseball agreement will expire at September 30th at the end of the season, so we have time. But like every negotiation in business, it's going to come down to the last 11th hour, and then hopefully cooler heads will prevail, and we'll have a great PBA. I mean, the PBA has been renewed at a 10-year stretch every year. So the last time we had any type of negotiation conflicts was back in 1990. So everything's been moving pretty smoothly, and I think ultimately cooler heads will prevail. But they're going to ask for the world, and it's going to be a lot of back and forth, and we get to be on the sidelines just kind of watch and see what's going to happen.
So are we going to have the same number of teams?
So I think so. I mean, I really do believe that, minor league baseball has 160 teams right now in 160 different communities. And the way I look at it is like, look, we're, in minor league baseball, we're providing these communities with really a great product. It's affordable family fun, like we say here in Akron, and it really gives a community an identity.
It does.
And losing a team would be the worst thing. And I think that cooler heads are going to prevail. They're going to really kind of take a look at what the impact would be, and hopefully we don't have to see any teams be eliminated.
That would be great.
Yes.
That would be great. So most of us remember the big rebranding of the Akron Arrows to the Akron Rubber Ducks.
Absolutely.
And I am sporting my new Akron Rubber Ducks shirt, which I love, by the way. It was a fun and exciting change. It had a little controversy, of course, as all name brand changes do. But given the rebranding boom of the last half decade or so, how much more prominent has merchandise-based revenue become as compared to attendance-based revenue?
Well, I'll tell you, it's all about attendance-based revenue.
Okay.
Our business is really funded on attendance-based. It's when you have people in the ballpark. Our tickets are $5. So you're not going to make a ton of money on the tickets, but it's about people coming to the ballpark, having a hot dog, having a drink, having a beer, and really enjoying themselves. That's where our revenue is made. Merchandise is just a real small pot when you look at the overall revenue streams for a club. Merchandise is really small, and it's never going to be something that really is going to overtake or ever replace attendance-based revenue. That's really where the revenue is for the clubs and how we stay in business. Teams don't rebrand for the merchandise. Yes, it's a nice plus, and you get a nice bump in the first year or two, but it's not significant. It's not. It really isn't about an identity. And when we were the Akron Arrows and had been the Akron Arrows for a number of years, the team kind of lost its identity. When you walk into a classroom full of third graders and said, hey, what's an arrow? You would get answers ranging from, gosh, Cleveland Indians, it's bows and arrows, not even spelled the same way. But they could never really put a finger on what an arrow was. But then you walk into a third grade classroom and say, what's a rubber duck?
Right.
Everybody knows what a rubber duck is. And that's a tough looking duck on your sleeve there. I mean,
that is
not,
a tough looking duck.
That's not your yellow squeaky bath toy, right?
No.
But that's part of it. It tells the story. It talks about the history and the heritage of Akron. My grandfather worked in the rubber industry for years and retired from BF Goodrich after 40 years, and that's why my family is here. And that's what's part of it. It tells about your community, and it's fun. It's minor league baseball.
We have fun.
Names like the Lansing Lugnuts and the Richmond Flying Squirrels.
Well, let's talk about Jacksonville.
Yes.
So that was a name change, and I just have to laugh because the jumbo shrimp is such an oxymoron.
Yep.
Like, how did that go over?
So it did. It's funny. In Akron, it was about a 3-day process where, people called in, and it's like we had taken away their firstborn. I mean, they were upset for 3 days, and then they got over it because they saw the name, they saw the logo, it all came out at the same time. In Jacksonville, when we did the rebrand, they had been the Suns for 30 years. But there are so many other teams named the Suns. There's the Phoenix Suns in the NBA. There is another minor league baseball team in Hagerstown, Maryland called the Suns. So you already have 2 of 160 teams with the same name. And so everybody kind of identifies with, well, that's my team and that's the brand, and I remember bringing my kids to the game,
right.
and it's all kind of wrapped up in that pretty little box that has all those memories with the Suns logo on the front.
Sure.
Well, in Jacksonville, we really wanted to show that there was a new ownership coming in. There was a new fan experience that was going to happen. And in Jacksonville, the military is such a big part of the community. There's naval bases. There's especially in Mayport, and actually, there's a large portion of shrimp in the shrimping industry that actually comes through Jacksonville, Florida. So it was kind of a no-brainer. And with jumbo shrimp, Jacksonville is one of the largest metropolitan cities in the country.
Okay.
But it's like a big little city. Everybody knows each other. You're still in the South. And it really kind of fit where we, kind of went with the oxymoron of jumbo shrimp. We looked at a ton of names.
Sure.
There was a lot, just like we did here in Akron.
Right.
But really, jumbo shrimp was the one that just kind of took it to the next level. And I'll tell you what, you asked about merchandise before. We're still selling merchandise not only across the country, but all over the world, especially for jumbo shrimp. People love to eat shrimp.
And I'll tell you, the logo for the jumbo shrimp is just as fierce looking.
It is. It's a tough looking logo.
You don't want to
mess with that shrimp.
No, so. You don't. So I'd like to remind our viewers and those who may have joined late that we are here with Jim Pfander, General Manager of the Akron Rubber Ducks, talking about minor league baseball, rule changes, rebranding, and the upcoming season. So over the next 10 years, what do you see as the biggest opportunity for your team?
Well, I think the biggest opportunity for us is really the families coming to Akron, the new jobs that are being created. And really, it started with Mayor Pasquale, and he kind of passed the torch to Mayor Horrigan with all these new jobs coming in. You look at Goodyear with bringing their headquarters back to Akron, and all the folks that have come this way. You look at the Bridgestone Technology Center. You look at SUMA. All the different places that are creating jobs and bringing jobs into our community, that's what's going to be our future. We're affordable family fun, but we are based on families. And really, it's family entertainment for folks to come to the ballpark, forget about their problems for 3 hours, have a great time, try some crazy food creations that our chef has dreamed up.
I can't wait to talk about that.
and that's part of the experience. And whether the team wins or loses, it's not a big deal, because for us it's about, for the baseball side it's about developing the fans, but for us it's about bringing that family entertainment to the ballpark.
And
so
you guys do it fabulously, I have to say.
Thank you.
And we are going to talk about that, but I have one more other question.
That's great.
So I want to talk about gambling.
Okay.
Because since the U.S. Supreme Court struck down the federal laws that previously prohibited gambling, on sports, and gave states the discretion to gamble on sports, Ohio has been quickly moving in that direction. So how do you see this playing out, and should we expect a gaming booth or two at Canal Park?
Well, I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon.
Okay.
Baseball has traditionally been slower to adopt gambling, and you look back at the history of baseball. You had the Chicago White Sox and the Black Sox scandal of 1919, right? Where you had players that were betting on the outcome of the World Series and throwing games, so the bettors would win the games. You look at Pete Rose. And a tremendous baseball player, but he bet on the game and kind of ruined the integrity of the game. So I don't see a gambling booth coming to the ballpark anytime soon. But you look at the NFL and you look at how it's kind of really embraced Game Kings and all those different outfits that are out there. It could happen, but it's not going to be anytime soon. Baseball is slower to adopt it, and really they're all about protecting the integrity of the game. And so I think that's really the most important thing.
Okay.
But I think for us, and especially here in Akron, it's about having fun. It's about bringing folks to the ballpark and enjoying themselves. And if that's part of the atmosphere down the road, then that's fine. But for us, it's about just having fun, bringing your family, spending time with those who matter most.
Got it. So over the next 10 years, we already talked about what you see as the biggest opportunity. What do you see as the biggest threat to your team? Well,
I think about my kids, right? So my kids would rather, be on their electronic devices. They would rather, watch. My 7-year-old loves to watch other kids play on her electronic devices. I'm like, why aren't you playing? Why aren't you getting out there? So I think, as folks, and especially as kids, have more access to electronics, and they have more access to, gaming, and they're not getting out there and doing it themselves. I think the folks that are interested in baseball, folks that are watching baseball and grew up like I did, that just loved everything there was to do about baseball, I don't know if we're seeing that. There's kind of a little bit of a shift. So hopefully as the years go on, people will get out and play. I mean, especially here in Northeast Ohio, where maybe we got about 6 good months of playing baseball weather here. True. So it's really important that folks do get outside, and I think that might be the biggest challenge, is really kind of bridging that gap from the personal experience that you can have on your electronic device to getting out and playing baseball and learning all the great social skills that you learn from playing baseball, and it's only going to help you as you get further on in life.
Let's talk fun stuff, okay?
Sure.
So April 9th is opening day for the season, but April 17th is the first home game. Are you guys ready?
Yes. No, I'm very excited because we have opened, and I have to knock on wood as I say this, because we've opened in the snow. We've opened in 40-degree weather. There was one year it was 80 degrees on opening day. You just never know what you're going to get in April.
And we're like in the 40s, 50s today.
I know. It's unbelievable. it's you never know what you're going to get. It's always a mixed bag. But logically, the later you open the season, the better the weather should be. And again, I'm knocking on wood as I'm saying this, because hopefully
and it's a Friday night game.
It's a Friday night. We open the latest of any team in the Eastern League. We just got lucky with a day off after our first road trip of the year, and hopefully that means that we're going to have good weather. And we only have 6 home games in the month of April, and for us that's fantastic, because again, the weather is so unpredictable. So we really got a great schedule, and our team has been up dreaming about promotional nights and every 70 home games.
Oh, the promotional nights. Tell me about the promotional nights.
Well, that's the best part. So we have a meeting once a week in our front office. Every Wednesday we get together.
You've had some
and
crazy
we brainstorm.
stuff.
And we have. And there's a lot more crazier stuff that never made it to the promotional calendar too,
I can
right?
only imagine.
But that's the best part about it. And it's the whole front office. It's a collaboration, and every ideas. And some of the best ideas come from some of the places that you wouldn't even think about it, right? Our groundskeeper had a great idea about a promotion a couple of years ago, and now it's become a staple at the ballpark. So it's Comic-Con. So every year Comic-Con comes to Akron, and they do a big event in September. And he's really big into comic books and comic book heroes and stuff. And he goes, why aren't we doing this at the ballpark? And we're like, light bulb goes off, and you're like, oh my gosh, why haven't we been doing this? And so it's things like that it's such a great collaboration. And I think that's what makes our office great, is that there's everybody that wants to come up with an idea and wants to come up with, hey, here's how we can have fun. And everybody has a different perspective. And I think that's what makes it great, is that you can come up with the ideas, maybe tweak them a little bit, and like, all right, this is really going to be fun. This is going to work well.
So is there any promotion you can tell me about that we don't know yet? Tell our viewers about something that's coming this year.
Well, yeah, I'll give you a couple of inside scoops, right? So we talked a little bit about our identity. I'm not going to spoil what the identity is going to be for our Latin American fans and really that identity. But I think you're going to love it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of bright, brilliant colors, and I think it's just going to give another kind of brand identity and feather in the cap, and another way for fans to engage with the team that's going to be fun. We're also doing a couple of different bobbleheads this year. I don't know if we've released them all, so if
do you have the Stephanie York bobblehead yet?
The Stephanie York didn't make it. Again, we talk about things that may be on the cutting room floor. But the one there's a couple that we're going to do, which I'm excited about. But do you remember the movie Napoleon Dynamite?
Oh, well, yes.
Right. So Uncle Rico, remember Uncle Rico? So John Grease is coming to the ballpark. He's going to have his own bobblehead as Uncle Rico. Now, I like Napoleon Dynamite, but as a kid, my favorite movie was Real Genius, and is a movie with Val Kilmer, and it takes place at a college on the West Coast. It's like Poli-Sci Institute or something like that, and he played a character named Laszlo that lived in Val Kilmer's closet. So the first thing I did when I checked in at Ohio University my freshman year is I opened my closet door, I'm knocking on the closet, make sure there's no crazy person living in my closet.
Right.
But I can't wait to have a chance to meet him and really be a part of that. So we've really kind of found a formula the last couple of years where we're bringing in these actors. Last year, Leslie David Baker from The Office, he plays Stanley Hudson. He came out and he was there for a bobblehead night. It's just these different ways to engage with the community. And so we love these nights. Some of them work really well. Some of them don't work, but it's fun to give it a shot, and we have 70 chances to get it right.
That's great. And by the way, I'm an Ohio Bobcat too.
There you go. There you go.
Go Bobcats.
Did you look in your closet for Laszlo when you checked in?
Yes. So my favorite topic, food.
Yes.
We don't have much time to cover it, but I want to know You have some extreme foods on the menu. Can you tell me about some that you have and some that are maybe coming?
Sure. We're still developing for this year, so
Okay.
I can't even spoil the supplies because I don't even know yet.
Okay.
But what I can say is we had a lot of fun food last year. Think about, the Screamer, which the 21 scoop ice cream sundae.
I've had it.
It's 5 pounds of ice cream. It's insane, right? But people love it, and they're not meant to be eaten by one person. They're meant to be shared,
come on.
right?
I should have shared it.
Well, I'll tell you what. We had an offensive lineman from the University of Akron that he decided to eat the entire thing. He was working for us.
Was he sick?
Let's just say he didn't work for us very much after that, after his head coach found out how much ice cream he ate.
Oh, yeah.
But it's all part of the experience. Baseball's an untimed sport. Baseball, you get to have fun. You get to have fun with your food.
Right.
And so that's eating and food is such a big part of that experience.
Three Dog Night.
3 Dog Night, the Nice to Meet You burger, the Terry Akron Pineapple Bowl, which is half of a pineapple hollowed out with, white meat chicken.
One, yes.
It's great. I mean, the best part about it is there's always something new, and we will have some new items that we're going to add to the list this year.
You will.
So we'll keep everybody excited and thinking about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And in addition to that donut machine we had last year, right behind Old Plate, that was making fresh donuts. So yeah,
amazing.
It's always fun.
Amazing.
We also have soup. We have salads and wraps and fruit. Nobody ever wants to
Come
talk
on.
about that, right?
Come on.
They want to have fun at the
$2
ballpark.
hot dogs. So buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks, or a Squealer, or the 3 Dog Night.
There you go.
Or the Screamer. What a great show today with Jim Pfander. Thank you, Jim, and thank you for joining us on Forum 360, your PBS Western Reserve channel. Generously sponsored by the Knight and Akron Community Foundations, as well as the Jewish Community Board of Akron and others. You heard it here. Everything you need to know about the 2020 Rubber Duck season, from extreme food to baseball rules to possibly new Ohio gaming laws. We covered it all. I don't know about you, Jim, but I'm ready for the April 17th season home opener.
Let's play ball.
Let's play ball.
Forum 360 is brought to you by John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, the Akron Community Foundation, Hudson Community Television, the Rubber City Radio Group, Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron, Blue Green, Electric Impulse Communications, and Forum 360 supporters.